Yo, what's up, everybody? It's DFS Dudes. Today is Monday, February 10th. Another edition of the Deep Dive Podcast. Good little slate today to get into. A lot of cool things happening on the site. Very close to launching NASCAR. Very close to launching hockey in the Optimizer. A ton of content. Check out today's Value Street. We've got NHL stuff up with 2 free lineups. So if you want to try your hand at NHL, get into that. Very, very, very well written pieces by Chris. But this is NBA, and we've got the Lakers on this slate. We've got Golden State on this slate with some Andrew Wiggins. And outside of the Lakers, to me, this is a little bit of a boring slate, right? I mean, you got Atlanta, Orlando, okay. You've got Brooklyn and the Pacers, okay. Charlotte and Detroit, okay. But Phoenix and the Lakers is the game to me that seems like it could be the funnest. And especially, like I said on the morning shoot around, if the Lakers don't want to play defense or haven't figured out how they're going to play defense, it's going to be interesting. And you have to continue to target teams who are going to be able to kind of run and gun and score with the Lakers. There's going to be a point in the season where they're going to have to just kind of shut up and play defense. Either you can or you can't. But they've been in some games, and look, I get the Kobe thing and all this stuff going on, but you're going to have to get to a point in the season here where you're going to have to play both ends of the floor, especially if you're going to want to win an NBA championship. Otherwise, you're going to struggle when you play against the Clippers, because the Clippers are going to play defense. But to me, it's the most interesting game on the slate. We've got injury news to look at. Jimmy Butler, Giannis. Anthony Davis is probable. Don't really, consider him as injury news, but we're waiting to see what happens with, Kyle Lowry. There's a lot of injury news that we're kind of hanging on here and waiting for. And let's just get a quick little recap of who we're looking for from an injury standpoint and what the impact is. I talked at length on the Spencer Dinwiddie deal. With Kyrie being out, but I'll just kind of recap it. I just don't think that on this particular slate that Dinwiddie is one of the top plays. He's been in the spot a lot, and I really feel like he's, and I'd have to look at it, but I feel like he's missed more games than he's played. So, I don't have a lot of intrigue there. I don't think he's a top spot. I think he's maybe a top 6, but there's some really good value, like Reggie Jackson at 5,900 on FanDuel. Goran Dragic is 5,400. Kendrick Nunn's 4,600. I mean, I think those 3 guys are in really good spots. And then if Giannis is ruled out, it just really opens the door up to add Eric Bledsoe to that mix at 6,700. So, we've got to wait and see what this injury news is going to be as this kind of slate unfolds. We're already at 5:10 Eastern as I record this podcast, so we don't have much time leading up to lock, and we're probably going to get one of those whirlwind type pre-lock days of news here in the next 45 minutes to an hour. But as that unfolds, I mean, Mike Conley's a really good price. Kendrick Nunn, like I mentioned. And then if you're going to pay up, Trae Young's 9,500 on the slate. He did play a lot of minutes. Michael Carter-Williams is 4,600. He's playing almost 30 minutes. Mike Conley, I mentioned, 5,700. Brunson and Reggie Jackson and Goran Dragic. There's just a lot of kind of mid-tier plays that are really solid plays at this point guard position. On the flip side of that, I think because of all that, Dinwiddie is a lower-owned tournament option in a really good spot filling in for Kyrie Irving, and with a lot of attention going to be on Karis LeVert with people wanting to get exposure to Brooklyn. The shooting guard position, I mean, Van Vliet, if Lowry's out at 6,700, he's default chalk. Default chalk. If Giannis is out, I think that lineups from the point guard and shooting position have these 3 players in it. If you get Lowry and Giannis both out, you're going to see Eric Bledsoe, You're going to see probably Kendrick Nunn. You're going to see Chris Middleton. Those three guys will be really chalky with Van Vliet, right? That's going to be like a 4. I would say that Van Vliet and Middleton would be locked. Bledsoe with another point guard would be the core. Those would be the 3 core staples to your lineups. So if Lowry's out, if Giannis is out, both those guys are out together, lock in Bledsoe, Middleton, Van Vliet. That's how you start your lineups, because not only will they be chalk, but they're phenomenal plays, and they're better plays than loading up a Dinwiddie, who, like I said, not a bad spot. The small forward position, there's not too much value there. TJ Warren at 5,500. Jay Crowder, I love at 4,200 in this matchup. OG Anunoby, 4,100. Solid play. And TJ Warren, 5,500. Decent play, right? Those are the kind of the core values that you want to look at on this slate, in my opinion. I don't mind a Tim Hardaway. I don't mind. And Andrew Wiggins is just expensive at 7,700, but we might have some room to pay up for some spots and get some upper to mid tier plays in there. The power forward spot, I think it's clear cut to me. It's not a deep spot today. Christian Wood at 8,100. I don't think I can go there. Jeremy Grant at 6,300. I like Grant as a solid tournament play when he's below 5,000, but this price tag's rough to pay up for. If I ask you the question, money not an option, do you want to play Draymond or do you want to play Jeremy Grant? I'm playing Draymond for my money. Money not an option. Grant's price, I think it's 4,900, so I like him below 5,000, and that's why I threw in there the money not an option part. But I just can't go there, man. I don't think I can go there. You would probably throw a third guy in that mix, which would be Kyle Kuzma at 4,300. So, to me, this is an interesting slate because as I go through this, and I'm naming these players off. We'll just stop with my final thought here. Is we go to the center position. You got Thon Maker at 4,100, Miles Turner at 5,800. John Henson is going to play minutes as well, probably 17 to 24 minutes. He's 4,200. Cody Zeller, 4,900. I mean, there's so many mid-tier value plays on this slate that you really have to be careful, especially if you're max entering, at building your core and then building your pay-up spots and being really strict with those kind of 5 guys as your core, right? Maybe 2 pay-up spots and then the chalk. But this is all a moot point until we figure out who's in, who's out, and we just have a lot of question marks on the slate. So I'm going to try to be brief with this, and I'm going to try to cover both sides of that equation, if they play and if they don't play, right? So the point guard position. Okay, let's talk about if everybody plays. If Lowry plays, if Giannis plays, we know Irving's out. We know Luka Doncic is out. So if everybody plays, kind of what does this thing look like today, right? So Malcolm Brogdon at 6,500 is probably a staple play against Brooklyn. 6,500 for Brogdon against Brooklyn. There's no Kyrie Irving. It should be a fast-paced game. It's a really solid spot for Brogdon. I don't like Kendrick Nunn as much as I've liked him in the past. I like Goran Dragic at 5,400. Against the Warriors, Dragic has really, really come on as of late. You look at the last 3 games or so, and Dragic has played really well. So kind of the 2 guys that I would build around the point guard position are Brogdon, Goran Dragic, and that's if Lowry's in. If Lowry's out, I don't know that he impacts the point guard position very much, but he would then transition to the shooting guard spot we'd lock in Fred VanVleet. If Lowry is in, I still like VanVleet at this price tag, and I think you can keep him as a core play at 6,700. And that's really how Lowry will impact the slate. If Giannis is going to play, I don't know that I like Giannis in this spot because I do like Siakam against Minnesota at 8,300 on FanDuel, and I do like LeBron James at 10-5 against Phoenix. I think that LeBron and Anthony Davis are just really good buys. And this seems like a slate that you can get a couple of pay-up spots. When you look at power forward, there's not a lot to impact that position from an injury standpoint. It's pretty straightforward. And the center spot, DeAndre Ayton, he's questionable. DeAndre Ayton, the domino effect there is give an extra bump to Anthony Davis and bump down LeBron James. Because I just don't think without Ayton that they can get rebounds and they can do the things that they need to do to be competitive in this game. And I think that that's when you see that game, the margin open up a bit in that game. So, that's really where we're at. If Giannis is out, Middleton, Ilyasova comes into play, Robin Lopez comes into play. All of these guys get an incredible bump if Giannis is going to be out. We may not know. I don't even know if Giannis is with the team. I just know that it's a personal issue that he's dealing with. It's in Milwaukee, so this is another one of those situations where it's an 8 o'clock Eastern lock. It's a 7 o'clock Eastern lock. It's an 8 o'clock Eastern game. And Giannis is questionable for personal reasons. We have no idea. And if he's out, Ilyasova probably draws a start. Ilyasova becomes chalk in this kind of stack of Bledsoe, Middleton, Ilyasova, and possibly Lopez becomes extremely popular. So let me rank out each position, okay? And who I'm looking at. I think Brogdon is 1. I've got Dragic as 2. I've got Brogdon 1, Dragic 2, Trae Young 3, Reggie Jackson 4, Jalen Brunson 5, and Kendrick Nunn is 6. And then on top of those 6, guys you can add to a player pool if you're building multiple lineups for a max entry, like 150 entries. Jalen Brunson at 4,600 and Michael Carter-Williams at 4,600. Because Nunn is 4,600, Michael Carter-Williams is 4,600, and Brunson is 4,600. Conley is where I'm going to get into. If Giannis plays, then Conley would bump up to my number 4 spot. So if Giannis plays, then I'll go Brogdon 1, Dragic 2, Young 3, Conley 4, Jackson 5, Nunn 6, and then 6A is Nunn, 6B is Michael Carter-Williams, and 6C is Jalen Brunson. That's point guard. Shooting guard, currently, I've got VanVleet as 1, Middleton 2, LeVert 3, Bruce Brown 4, Devin Booker 5, DeRozan 6. If Lowry is out, then you can throw, and if Jimmy Butler is out, then you can bump Duncan Robinson and you can bump Terrence Davis, both up. They're both 4,400. They both get a boost. They both can replace and intertwine with Bruce Brown at 4,500. So that's kind of both sides of it, right? If everybody that is a game time decision is to play, we've got it one way. If everybody is out, we've got another way. And we kind of know that Van Vliet, I think, is the core piece. Small forward. Right now, to me, small forward looks like it's a pay down spot. You've got Jay Crowder at 4,200. You've got Joe Ingles and a newbie at 4,400 and 4,100. Tim Hardaway's 4,800. TJ Warren 5,500. And then you've got, Derek Jones Jr., he's 4,700. And then you go to LeBron kind of at 10,500. I just don't think that this is a slate to pay up for Giannis at 11,600 if he plays. And to me, I think small forward is, especially on a multi-entry level, a combination of those guys, Jay Crowder, TJ Warren, Joe Ingles, a newbie, Derek Jones. Those are the guys that I want to get some exposure to. And then you can pair one of the, you can kind of work three different scenarios. You can pair one of those guys with Siakam. You can pair one of those guys with LeBron James. We're just getting news now. Derrick Rose has been ruled out. So, that doesn't really bump up Reggie Jackson right now any more than he already has been. But Bruce Brown is going to get a bump because Milicic has also been ruled out. Markieff Morris will play. Rose out. Mikhailachek out. Bump Bruce Brown. Bump Langston Galloway. I don't know if Langston Galloway is still in. He's more of a dart tournament play. So that's the three strategies. You can pair those guys, one of those small forwards with each other, that value list, and pay down a small forward. Pair one of them with Siakam or pair one of them with LeBron. Those are the three types of ways I'll build tonight. The power forward position. The two guys to me that are the clear-cut best plays are Sabonis and Bam. I just don't know if the upside is there for Bam. I do bump him up if Butler is going to be out. We probably won't know before lock. I've got Sabonis 7,800 going against Brooklyn. He's a rebounding machine. I really like the Sabonis play. I think it's a really good price at 7,800. Bjelica, Anthony Davis, firmly in the mix. Kyle Kuzma as well at 4,300. And then if Jimmy Butler plays, I think that bumps Draymond Green. I just think it gives a bump to Draymond. I don't like the price tag of 6,300 if Jimmy Butler doesn't play. I think it's a little bit different type of basketball game. I do like Draymond a lot if Jimmy Butler is going to play. But we probably won't know that before lock. Ibaka at 6,700. I don't like the matchup. Jared Allen at 5,400. I don't like the matchup there, but centers have done really well against Indiana this year. But as I talked about on the shoot-around, you look at some of this stuff sometimes, and a team's really good from a DVP standpoint against, a certain position. But that takes into account that elite player, like a Doncic, is playing. It doesn't take into account that the elite player is not playing. So you have to take those types of things into consideration. And on this slate, Ibaka's not playing power forward, man. He's going to play center, and he's going to play against, Jared Allen. I just think that he's going to play against Karl Anthony Towns. And I just don't like that matchup. And then on the flip side of it, Jared Allen's going to play against Miles Turner. That kind of washes each other out. And I think that opens up Sabonis. So 7,800 for Sabonis, my top play. I'm not going to play Aldridge on the slate at 7,000. I don't like it. I think that there's other guys I like more for the money. And then Anthony Davis, right? And I mean, if we're going to get news that Ayton's not going to play before lock, I think that you lock in Anthony Davis. No Saric, no Kaminsky. Aaron Baines, a game time decision. And then if Ayton's out, I mean, do we have anybody that's going to stop Anthony Davis in the baseline? Nobody. Phoenix. Porzingis at 9,000 against Utah. I'm not a big fan of this spot because I think that Sabonis is in a better spot. I really like Bjelica. If Giannis doesn't play, I love Bjelica at this price tag at 5,800. And again, you get into the same type of situation, right? You got some value here. Like a Maxi Kleber, Paul Millsap, if the minutes are going to be there. So we've got some value there, and you can kind of pair them together. But I think Sabonis is the guy you lock and either pair him with a value piece or pair him with Anthony Davis. So you can go like Sabonis, Bjelica, Davis, Bjelica, or Davis, Sabonis at the power forward spot. The center position, I don't mind playing Thon Maker. Okay, I don't mind playing Thon Maker at all. I think Rudy Gobert at 7,700 is so fairly priced that it's sick. John Henson is an intriguing play, but you want to see more minutes. And the Charlotte situation, you just kind of got to stay away from. So if you want to punt the position, you could play JaVale McGee at 3,800. If you want to load up the chalk, I think that's Thon Maker. And then if you want to get a really skilled player in there, you'd go Vucevic 1 and then Rudy Gobert 2. And those would be lower owned, high upside tournament plays. So putting something together with the guys we like, what does that look like? Well, let's go through a couple scenarios first. Let's assume for a minute that Giannis plays. If Giannis plays, then that shooting guard position, the point guard position, the guys that I like, I would start number 1 with Malcolm Brogdon. We know Derrick Rose has been ruled out. They're going to play against Charlotte. And I think that you would make similar lineups and play the two combination of Reggie Jackson and Mike Conley. So we'll load up Mike Conley 1 first and move to shooting guard. We're assuming that Lowry and Giannis are playing, right? With Lowry playing, I still think that you can look at Van Vliet at 6,700. It's a very cheap price tag. And when you talk about Van Vliet, he just scored 29 minutes against Brooklyn. You look at his last 5 games, 44.1, 28.8, 32.1, 37.1, 37.4. He's filling the stat sheet up in all categories. In that stretch, he doesn't have any less than 6 assists. And he's scored at least 20 points twice and at least 15 points in 4 of those 5 games. It's a really good matchup. It's a player that can score the basketball and fill the stat sheet in all categories, and it's a very fair price. From a value standpoint, one guy I didn't mention, which is Oladipo, I think you've got to keep loading this guy up, especially in tournaments, and put him in consideration. The minutes start at 20. They've climbed to 27. Last week, he was cleared to play 28. The matchup, against Brooklyn here, it's extremely good. Extremely good. So I don't have a problem with him. And then if you want to go down a little bit, Bruce Brown is a guy we talked about who's going to get a bump now that we know that Derrick Rose is out and Milicic is out. If you're not going to play Reggie Jackson, you're going to play Mike Conley, you can load up Bruce Brown at 4,500 and you've got a really nice mid-tier plays here with a lot of upside with Brogdon, Conley, Van Vliet, and Bruce Brown. Okay, so assuming Giannis plays, we've talked about there's a lot of value here at the small forward spot, and we could do one of two things. Pay down in both spots or pay up for one and pay down in the second or pay up for both. We've got enough salary right now where we could pay up for definitely LeBron. So if we pay up for LeBron, the value that goes behind this is a guy like TJ Warren, Tim Hardaway, Derek Jones playing against shot in the dark with Derek Jones, not knowing if Jimmy Butler plays or not. Jay Crowder, 4,200, like him a lot. We load up Crowder in the number 2 spot, and then we look at the power forward position. And Sabonis is our number 1 guy. So we've got kind of 2 choices now. What do you want to do with the center spot? Well, the chalk, in my opinion, is going to be Thon Maker at 4,100. And that leaves us a touch short to reach up and get Anthony Davis to pair with Sabonis. We're 400 short. So if you look at this lineup, is there something that we can do in another spot to get us the $400? And there's Goran Dragic, there's Kendrick Nunn. Dragic doesn't get us there, but Nunn, Brunson, or Michael Carter Williams will. So if we look at, and of the three of those guys, I hate to say it, but from a tournament standpoint, I like Michael Carter Williams because the obvious play is Nunn. He's the obvious play. So if we go Brogdon, Michael Carter Williams, we've got Van Vliet, we've got Bruce Brown for our Detroit exposure, we've got some Miami late night exposure, we've got LeBron in there, and then we can load up Anthony Davis. We still have 700 on the table. So is there a small forward or a shooting guard that are in a better spot than Bruce Brown or Jay Crowder? Small forward, we can get to Hardaway. So that becomes about preference there. And I think this is just one of those ways where you build multiple lineups. And again, keep in mind, I'm fine leaving as much as $1,000 on the table, especially in a single entry tournament. Nobody else is going to do that. And it's going to make you way different than everybody else. So this first lineup, getting the guys we like in there based on the scenario that Kyle Lowry plays and Giannis plays. We go Brogdon, Williams, Van Vliet, Brown, LeBron, Crowder, Sabonis, Davis, Thon Maker. Just out of curiosity, our optimizer, let me pull that up and just see what that's running out there. Because I've got a feeling that it's going to be close based on what I saw earlier. Let's just take a look. Let's take a little look. NBA optimizer. All right, so what do we have? We've got Reggie Jackson in there. We do have Van Vliet. We've got LeBron. We've got Sabonis, and we've got Thon Maker. So we're not very far off with what's being optimized. And let me just run another iteration of this and see what happens. So let's assume that Lowry is out. We don't really need to change anything. The only thing that really changes is you can add Terrence Davis to this list. And his price tag is $4,400. So it becomes a swap situation where we just swap out and maybe you pay up a little bit for a shooting guard instead of running with Van Vliet. But I have to tell you, I like Van Vliet more than I like anybody else on their roster. So, you could look at pairing Van Vliet and Terrence Davis. Let's assume that Giannis is out. How do we want to change this? If Giannis is out, then we know we have to do a couple of things. The first is we need Bledsoe, right? So we could simply swap out Brogdon for Bledsoe. I don't know if I'm a fan of that as much as I am of maybe trying to get Brogdon and Bledsoe together. But just by default to start this thing off, we'd want to swap out Brogdon and Bledsoe. We would also want to get Middleton in. And in this case scenario, here's where I would maybe argue for playing Terrence Davis. Middleton's price tag is $7,400. We would need to get another couple $100 to be able to go Bledsoe, Carter Williams, Middleton. So I would start with Terrence Davis. That would save us $100 over Bruce Brown. And in this scenario, we don't have any exposure to the Detroit value without Rose, without Milicic, without these guys playing. Some are going to say, hey, Markieff Morris, he's going to be a good play here. Okay, but is he as good as Crowder at 4,200? Is he as good as T.J. Warren at 5,500? As good as some other plays? The usage rate is not going to be as high for Morris as it is going to be for Crowder. It's just not. So shooting guard position, we're going to go with Davis. Save ourselves a little bit of money. But I have to tell you, I would be more in favor, to be honest with you, of getting VanVleet here based on the fact that point guards have smashed against Minnesota, and now you remove Wiggins from this list. It's not on that team any longer. And you've really got Towns, and this team wants to play on the perimeter so much. It just knocked down 29 threes to beat the Clippers. 29 threes. So they want to play on the perimeter. But let's just go Bledsoe, Carter Williams, Middleton, Davis. We know we can get chalk with Ilyasova, and there's kind of our stack, right? So, we throw Ilyasova in there, and now we've got a Milwaukee stack of Bledsoe, Middleton, and Ilyasova. The default kind of chalk of who gets loaded up. We've got a lot of money to spend up on. We can upgrade Terrence Davis and go back to VanVleet at 6,700. So now we've got Bledsoe, Carter Williams, Middleton, VanVleet, LeBron, Crowder, Sabonis, Ilyasova, Thon Maker. We still have $4,500 to play with. To me, I'm going to get some Brogdon. I think Brogdon is in a little better spot here against Brooklyn as opposed to Reggie Jackson. So I'm going to go with Brogdon. So we've got Bledsoe, Brogdon, Middleton, VanVleet, LeBron, Crowder, Sabonis, Ilyasova, Thon Maker. And we've got $2,600 left on the table. Where do we spend that? If you look at center, there's not really a guy we like that we can get to in this price range. So is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't think it is. You can go from Sabonis to Anthony Davis if you wanted to. And now you've got your pairing of LeBron and Anthony Davis together again. You could keep Sabonis, and we could upgrade at a couple of other spots. We could fade the chalk of Ilyasova. We could upgrade Crowder. So let's see what that looks like. Let's throw Sabonis back in there, and let's upgrade Crowder. And if we upgrade Crowder, it puts us on Oubre. I don't have a problem with this play with Kelly Oubre, but the Houston game was a monster game for him. And that's the type of game that he does well in. I think this is the same type of game where he plays 36 minutes and possibly has 25 points. Because the Lakers haven't shown they're going to play defense. They've shown they're going to give up run and gun type, fast break type play to the opposition. And if that's the case, you have to give consideration to these guys. So that lineup looks like this. Bledsoe, Brogdon, Middleton, VanVleet, LeBron, Oubre, Sabonis, Ilyasova, Thon Maker. And this is kind of where it's at, right? So this is the two ways of how you can build these things out today. The big news is we've got to take consideration for Lowry and Giannis. I just don't think we're going to find out with Butler, and I'm not sure Butler impacts enough to make me want to play none. I'm on Goran Dragic if he plays or doesn't play. I like Dragic, and that's Butler, that is. So these are just trade-out spots. But to me, there's the rankings. This is how we're building based off of the guys we like, and that's the news we need to consider. I'll be back tomorrow for another edition of Deep Dive. Until then, be cool, keep it cashing. Peace out.